A very good evening and a very warm welcome. You're watching Connect. This is your show where we take in live comments from you, the viewer. You can write to us on Facebook, on Twitter. You can tag the NewsX handle. We will take your tweets and comments live here. You can also WhatsApp us your comments and send us your videos and tell us what you think about what we're talking about today. And of course, what we're talking about today is a very, very big and a very important story. It's a story that concerns India, it's a story that concerns you, and it's a story that concerns me. India has been conned. The Punjab National Bank has detected fraudulent transactions amounting to 11,000 crore rupees. This is something that has been going on since 2011, and it's only on the 31st of January 2018 that the first FIR in the matter has been registered. Well, the man in the eye of the storm is Nirav Modi. You have heard about him. You've seen his stores across India. His stores across New Delhi, Mumbai and Surat have been raided. Shutters are down. Locks have been put. But Nirav Modi, along with his entire family, is nowhere to be found. He was last seen in Davos at the World Economic Forum, sharing space, of course, with the Prime Minister. Questions have been raised and a political blame game has already begun. Joining me on the broadcast this evening is going to be Shaina NC of the BJP. She will be live with us from Mumbai in just a bit. Adil Singh Boparai of the Congress will also be joining us on the broadcast. Rajeev Kapur, economist and market expert, is with us in the studio. SK Datta, political analyst, is also with us. Rajeev Kapur, I want to come to you first because I think it's very important, before we dive into this conversation, to understand the premise of what this scam has been. How is it that 11,000 crore rupees, I mean, it must have gone through stages to amount to such a big number. How is it that a scam of this magnitude was never detected earlier? We understand that 10 officials of the Punjab National Bank have been suspended for colluding with Nirav Modi and his various companies. What has happened? Could you put it in a nutshell for our viewers?
Frankly speaking, these kind of scams are well planned, basically.
Okay. It
is not happening overnight or suddenly. Because it is a amount of 11,000 crores. It's not 1 crore or 2 crores, 11 crores. We are a business house, and if you see that all banks monitor us very well. If we have to take a loan, or small enterprises or medium enterprises have to take a loan from the bank, they scrutinize in a deep way.
Right.
They study all financials, backgrounds, owners, collateral securities, the capital they have and everything. So doing a scam in a bank, it's not so easy job. Okay. So it, as per me,
you're absolutely right. If you and I need to go to the bank, if any of our viewers, we need to walk into a bank, we need to apply for a loan, or even if we need to withdraw our own money from the bank, which amounts to more than, a certain number, there is a process. We're all subjected to that process. We've all stood in the various queues and followed due process. How is it then that a scam of such a magnitude is allowed to take place in the first place?
Because it's a complete team who is involved in that, basically. Okay. It's not that the scam has happened all of a sudden. Okay. So all bank officials, the managers, they must have been involved in that.
Right. What is important here to note, and I'd like to put this in perspective for our viewers, is that there was a fresh loan that was in fact applied to at the Punjab National Bank. Of course, another letter of understanding that was in fact applied for. When the bank officials questioned how this process has been happening without any collaterals, is when the bank decided to introspect and look at their own records, and that is how the Punjab National Bank has in fact been able to unfurl or unveil the scam that has, of course, been taking place. Adil Singh Boparai is live with us. Shaina NC is also with us. Adil Singh, you wanted to come in when Mr. Rajeev was speaking. Go ahead.
Rishika, this is the biggest banking scam in the history of our country. Now, I want to take your viewers through a few facts. In July 2016, I repeat, July 2016, a whistleblower by the name of Hari Prasad writes a complaint to the Prime Minister's office where he alleges that a mega banking scam is currently taking place in the Punjab National Bank, where he names Mehul Choksi and the others. Okay. This happens in July 2016. The Prime Minister's office does nothing. Now the Punjab National Bank detects this scam on the 16th of January as through their own internal mechanism, 16th of January 2018. Mr. Nirav Modi accompanies the Prime Minister on an official visit to Davos on the 23rd and the 24th of January.
Okay.
The CBI registers an FIR on the 29th. Before a lookout circular could be issued, the entire family of Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi flees the country.
Let him finish, China NC. I will come to you. Let him finish, I will come to you. Go ahead, Adil. Make your point and then I will get China NC to respond.
The debate here. Now, point number 2, Rishika.
This is absolutely...
China NC, let him finish his comment, I will come to you.
There is a modus operandi to this.
Okay.
You know, she needs to allow me to speak.
Okay, go ahead.
There is a modus operandi which has been taking place under this government. First, you had with Lalit Modi's case, where the External Affairs Minister personally intervened and facilitated his travel documents so that he could go holidaying to exotic locations in Europe.
What is your point?
Then you had the case of Vijay Mallya, where his lookout circular was first withdrawn, and then he was allowed to flee.
Okay.
So the point is that the Modi administration is hand in glove with Nirav Modi.
Okay.
The highest echelons of this administration allowed Chhota Modi to flee this country.
Okay.
He has swindled 11,000 crore rupees. How does this government intend to bring back Chhota Modi and prosecute him?
All right, you made your point. I want to bring in China NC to respond to that. Yes. Adil Singh, you made your point. China NC
hand in glove with Chhota Modi.
Okay, China NC, the Congress claims you are hand in glove. Will Nirav Modi respond?
Monologue, please.
Okay, go ahead. Adil Singh, you've had to say, let China NC respond.
Absolute
You allowed Chhota Modi to flee.
Please, in 2011...
Letters and facts don't lie, madam.
Okay, Adil Singh, you made your point. Adil Singh, you made your point. I'm
the lies have been spelled by you.
China NC respond.
Who gave the loans in the first place in 2011? Thank you. This is not a monologue.
This is a lie. This is a lie. There was a letter sent.
You gave loans.
There was a complaint sent to the Prime Minister's office.
This is absolute manipulation of the system. The Congress party always insulated.
You don't even know it was a letter of undertaking, not a loan.
And the systemic.
It was a letter of undertaking. You don't know your own facts.
Adil Singh, let her respond.
Will you just keep quiet, please?
Let her respond.
She's asked me the question. I have the decency to keep quiet.
Go ahead.
Just have the patience.
I will give you a chance, Adil, to present your point of view.
Let her finish. An unsecured loan. I want to ask that if the Congress party had any political conviction, there are thousands of such cases of people who manipulated the banks, where banking officials were corrupt, they were more corrupt, and these corrupt practices continued. Look at the political will of our government. Firstly, Mr. Modi did not take Nirav Modi to Davos. How he lands up there or what he's doing there is absolutely his own question to answer. Don't please try and manipulate and give unsubstantiated lies to the viewers.
All right.
The government of the day has had the political will to bring NPAs to book, to absolutely create Insolvency Act as well as the Bankruptcy Act, so that we don't have these cheaters and frauds getting away scot-free. Do understand that if we did not have the political will, when this whistleblower wrote the letter, all the consolidated evidence which has been brought to finalize,
they are not in collusion with the scam, but in fact they will express the political will to come out and put this matter. I'm not going to let this become a Congress versus BJP. I want to bring in a viewer's voice. Neil Tiwari, a viewer is joining us on Skype. Neil, you've heard, voices of from the Congress. You've heard voices from the BJP. We've been playing out these reactions through the course of the day for our viewers as well. What do you make of what has happened? Because at the end of the day, here is a scam that concerns every taxpayer of this country. It concerns you and it concerns me. What do you make of it? Neil.
Exactly. So the point is it is not at all a BJP or a Congress war. It is a government of India whose credibility is on stake. The credibility of Punjab National Bank is also on this stake. First, it is, as Punjab National Bank told earlier in the day, that it has started since 2011, and BJP is always saying that it has started from 2011 and that's why we are not the culprit. Well, if the fraud was there since 2011 and the public sector banks are going through a lot of NPAs, why did not any government, be it the UPA government or the NDA government, went for a vigilance against these defaulters of these loans, or people of
okay, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Viewers who are joining us on Connect are asking that, you know, let's not make this a Congress versus BJP. Let's make it about you and me. And why is it, and I want to bring in S.K. Datta here, you know, why is it that we are being held hostage through a Congress-BJP war when here's an issue that concerns every taxpayer of the country? This is not the first bank scam that we have seen. This is, of course, the latest in the long list of the Vijay Mallya's and the Lalit Modis that we are seeing. Another man who's fled the country, you know, well in advance, before the lookout notice, before the FIR was in fact lodged. He's an offender. I mean, there is a 280 crore scam that is against his name, which the CBI is investigating from last year. So, you know, what does this do to public perception? It does appear that people are not interested in a Congress versus BJP war. They're interested in what's happening to the banking system.
Absolutely. I think that is where the debate should be. And that is where things needs to be looked into.
Okay.
This mudslinging match between Congress and BJP, and somehow a tendency to, you know, bring in the name of the Prime Minister in relation to scamsters is something which is uncalled for.
Right.
Because if you look into Lalit Gate had started in 2012. If you look into Mallya Gate also started in 2012. You know, without collaterals, the Prime Minister's office had actually helped Vijay Mallya, the previous Prime Minister's office. You know,
so you're
and coming to this also, Nirav Gate also, like, I mean, the first loan was given in 2011. So let us not go into that mudslinging match.
Okay.
What concerns me is like where the banking system is going, and especially public banks or Government of India banks, you know. That is something where generally the people of this country, they have faith in public sector
and I want to get Adil Singh and China NC to both respond to this. Adil Singh, I will come to you first, because, you know, you've heard what a viewer has to say, and I will play out reactions that viewers have sent us through the course of the day. People are not interested in a Congress versus BJP mudslinging match. People are interested in knowing that the money that they keep in banks, especially in PSUs, is safe. Remember, Punjab National Bank is the second largest bank in India. And Adil Singh, people are interested in seeing the governments of the day putting these scamsters and perpetrators to justice. Adil Singh.
Well, Rishika, I didn't interrupt your other panelists. I expect they extend the same courtesy to me. Number one, Mr. Datta is from the RSS. It's high time that NewsX starts introducing him according to his political affiliation. Point number one. Point number two, the meat of the matter is that in July 2016...
Let's not make this personal. Let's not make this personal.
Yes, you know, you have no right to make this personal attack. If you don't have any evidences, don't come with personal attack. Is that clear to you, Mr. Adil Singh?
Adil Singh, I urge you from refraining.
I have evidence in front of me.
Don't come with malicious personal attack.
Okay, S.K. Datta, let me moderate this. Adil Singh, I urge you from refraining from making personal comments here on the broadcast. We don't appreciate or encourage that. But, you know, having said that, please go ahead and respond to what our viewer had to say earlier. You know, let's stick to the issue. Let's stick to the moot point. Go ahead.
Let me respond.
Yes.
The fact of the matter, Rishika, is that a letter was sent with the Prime Minister's office's acknowledgement. This is not a letter which has been fabricated. It has the Prime Minister's office's acknowledgement, which was written to the PMO in July 2016.
Okay.
So obviously the country is demanding what was the government doing for the past 1.5 years.
Okay.
In this complaint, Mehul Choksi and Nirav Modi have been specifically mentioned. Point number one. Point number two, it happens with Lalit Modi that they facilitate travel documents. This is in public domain. It happens with Vijay Mallya, where his lookout circular is first withdrawn, and then they allow him to flee.
I want to pose that question to China NC.
How is it a coincidence that his entire family runs away from the country? The BJP is hand in glove with Chota Modi. They are shielding Chota Modi.
China NC, the
Prime
people of
Minister
this
must
country...
respond. What was Chota Modi doing at Davos with the Prime Minister?
Adil Singh, I will get China NC to respond to that. I don't want this discussion to be held hostage to a Congress versus BJP fight. I don't want it to be a Congress versus BJP fight. China NC,
No, these are
respond
facts,
to what
Rishika,
viewers
these are
are saying.
documents.
Respond to
This
what
has the
viewers are saying.
acknowledgement of the
Viewers are
Prime
saying
Minister's
they want
office.
a strong message to be sent out. They want perpetrators of these scams that concern us, the taxpayer of the country,
Absolutely,
to be
the
put to
government
task.
is involved with
China
Modi.
NC, respond to that.
That's the problem.
Okay, China
He's left
NC,
the
respond to
country,
that.
they were not going to
Can
be
the
able to get him
government
back
of the
now.
day, China NC, inspire confidence, fuel some confidence back into the system, a confidence that the system is losing currently? China NC.
Firstly, I want to make 2-3 points. One is, if we didn't have the political will, this expose would have not come into the public domain. The Enforcement Directorate seizing every single property of his in India, and not just that, banking officials who were corrupt also as part of this entire scam during the UPA regime goes back to 2011.
Yes.
First,
we go back
you
to the
allow him to
fundamental
leave
point.
the country,
Our
and then you
banking
do this
laws
drama.
in the country
Why did you allow him to flee?
Other thing, let her
You should have
respond.
You should have not let
Let
him
her
leave the
respond.
borders of this country.
Do not have the political will
No,
to
that's the
understand
pertinent point,
that
Rishika. You have to ask her this.
During your tenure, crores and crores have been usurped of public money only by political influence.
They allow Vijay Mallya to flee. They allow Chota Modi to flee.
I'm not going to anymore
they
expect
summonize
China
us.
NC or Adil Singh to make any statements that will fuel any confidence. But I don't want this discussion. Connect is not going to be held hostage to a Congress versus BJP fight. There are viewers who sent us reactions on WhatsApp. I want to play out those reactions.
Vijay Mallya's extradition is still awaited. How can we expect Nirav Modi's case? How can we expect any justice in Nirav Modi's case? Shockingly, these scams are taking place right under the nose of bank officials and politicians. High time the bank officials should wake up, and so should the politicians.
That really is the mood of the nation currently. Rajeev Kapur, do you want to respond to that? What does this do to the to the morale of the people who invest in the markets? We've seen the PNB stock today fall by about 10%. Correct me if I'm wrong. But what does this do to the mood of the people, to the mood in the markets? How do scams like this affect investor confidence?
It is affecting a lot to all investors basically. Now the investors are not trusting on the government companies. But government also has to take step forward that we must move towards privatization. Why this is not happening in private banks? Now if you see HDFC Bank, HSBC banks or Citibank, they are all growing and they have no NPAs. But why the government bank, the public sector bank has a lot of NPAs? Because we don't have strict law and order in India. People are doing scams, people are doing rapes, everything, but nothing is happening. There are incredible files in the court and nothing is happening. So people think, oh, nothing will happen to me, I will take a bail next day. So we have to be very strict in law and order. This is number one.
So clearly this is something that is going to affect, and I want to bring in SK Datta here because the same investor that we talked about, SK Datta, is also going to be a voter, not just in the upcoming Karnataka elections, in the 2019 elections. And we've seen that, one of the chief campaigns of the BJP government back in 2014 was run on an anti-corruption plank. Does this at all disturb that pitch? Does it now tip the scales in favor of the Congress? Because they are clearly firing one salvo after the other, saying this is all happening under the BJP watch. How does this entire scam play out electorally?
See, when it comes to the question of the fight against corruption, yes, it does dilute the fight against corruption. I do understand that. And what I would like to say out here is there is some systematic failure with the banking system in our country. If you remember in 2012, 2013, there was a huge scam related to HSBC also, which is a private bank as such, in the case of money laundering, So something stringent needs to be done so that banks are controlled and the banking laws of the country needs to be ratified. That's one thing. The second thing is the fight between Congress and BJP, which you have asked me in relation to the elections. I think if BJP has to answer certain number of things, Congress has to answer a hell number of things.
I think all political stakeholders need to answer, and like I keep reiterating, they need to send a strong message in order to infuse some kind of a confidence back into the system. Other thing, I will give you a chance, but I want to go to the digital desk and I want to see what are the kind of reactions that viewers have come in. Here's a story that's garnered a lot of interest online today. We've been buzzing, our digital desk has been buzzing with reactions. Take it away. Take us to the reaction.
Well, Rishika, once again, it's a very big scam concluding with 11,000 crore rupees. So people are expressing their anguish on our social media sites. Let's see what they have to say on our Facebook page. Rajan Nath says, truly, it is going to be gone cases like Vijay Mallya because justice in India has become a bear who hibernates for a long interval and rises for a few times. While Smita wants to say, Vijay Mallya's extradition has not been possible till date. How can we expect any justice in Nirav Modi's case? Poor and middle class are being taxed and the likes of Mallya and Nirav Modi abscond with thousands of crores. Wake up bank officials and politicians. Prakriti Sharma wants to say, corruption in India is a huge problem. Rather than concentrating on religious lines, leaders should work on removing corruption. While Niral has to say, when things are normal with 9,000 crore rupee loot, then who cares about 11,000 crore? It's just again a news. Another comment from Junaid, but he wants to say government should adopt preventive measures to curb these acts. While Gaurav has to say banks who takes account of every single penny, how can they someone fool so easily? So
clearly, you know, after the Lalit Modi fiasco, after, you know, what's happened in the Vijay Mallya case, now you have Nirav Modi, which is clearly, you know, the reactions that are coming in from viewers pertains to the fact that, you know, if Modi can get away with 9,000 crores, what is 11,000 crores? China NC, before I come back to you, Adil, I want to get China NC. China NC, if you've heard some of the comments that our viewers have made, a lot of people seem to be raising questions. And let's not make this a Congress versus BJP. You are a spokesperson of the government of the day. What can we see happen? What is the roadmap of this government in dealing with corruption and people like Vijay Mallya and Nirav Modi?
Firstly, let me please say that 2-3 points that we need to highlight. That cheaters, frauds cannot be dealt with in any way but severely, and the severest of severe. Now, certain people who have manipulated the system for over 8 years, and suddenly, you know, they choose to put their hands up and say that, you know, they have disappeared. Obviously, the government of the day is going to use every political clout that we possibly can, our good officers with the countries abroad, whether it's the United States of America or Switzerland, to ensure that we bring the guilty to task. In the meantime, the Enforcement Directorate has worked. They have attached every property of his. They've attached every
property, but yet 31st January 2018 was when the lookout notice was issued, and before that Nirav Modi along with his entire family had fled. Adil Singh, quick last word from you and then I have to wrap. The government is willing to send out a strong message, but can we really see action happen? Rishika, what according to you should be the roadmap? What is the Congress's roadmap?
Rishika, the BJP cannot overlook that a complaint was sent to the Prime Minister's office in July 2016. What were they doing for 1.5 years? That's why the Congress party is alleging complicity. The highest echelons of this government are involved in letting Chhota Modi get away. Point number one. Point number two, if the bank detected the scam on the 16th of January 2018, why wasn't a lookout notice issued immediately? Why was he allowed to go to Davos and then flee the country? His entire family fled. Isn't this too much of a coincidence, Rishika, that the entire family fled in January?
I think there are several questions that remain to be unanswered. You know, the fact is that on 31st of January was when that lookout notice in the FIR was in fact filed. But the truth is that before that, in the first week of January, Nirav Modi along with his entire family had already fled the country. What transpired and what happens, every development and every detail is something that we will be tracking here on NewsX very closely. With that, it's a wrap on Connect. Big thank you to all the viewers who've written to us and sent us their videos. A big thank you to all my guests, of course, for joining me. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay tuned. Fraudulent transactions of rupees 11,000 crores in its mid-corporate branch in South Mumbai. 11,000 crores. How does a scam of that magnitude unfold and how does it affect the taxpayers of India? How does it affect you is what my colleagues Rishabh Gulati and Gauri Dwivedi will be breaking down for us. It's over to you.
Okay, let's have a look at this and I'm going to get my colleague Gauri to be a foil and help us explain this. So basically, we are going to examine, Gauri, how they did this scam. Now, how did they loot? First, explain to us the difference between the core banking system before we start examining the SWIFT system. So what is the core banking system? Now, of course, it's dealing with the basic things like electronic money transfers, loans, credit cards, fixed deposits, and this is a record that the banks maintain, which are instant.
And this is something that engulfs the entire banking system. So every transaction in the banking system is now done through the core banking solution. That, of course, is to ensure that everything is transparent, all transactions can be accessed immediately. So CBS is now.
So as far as you and I are concerned, all the banking transactions that we do, I mean, you book a fixed deposit, you pay your credit card bill, you transfer some money,
RTGS, NEFT,
everything is coming under the core banking system.
Absolutely.
And this means there are banks, X number of banks in India, and those X number of banks have X thousand number of branches, and they communicate, all can communicate with each other, right?
Simultaneously through the CBS.
And through the CBS. Now let's have a look at the SWIFT system, which is the international banking system. Now, from the basis of what I understand, Gauri, is that if, for example, there's a Punjab National Bank, now every branch of the Punjab National Bank will not have a SWIFT ID. They'll have a mother branch with a SWIFT ID.
That's correct.
If you want to send money from one PNB account, let's say to some account in New York, PNB will transfer it to their mother,
the branch which has SWIFT access. That is because there is a threshold transaction limit after which SWIFT can actually come into existence. So not every branch, not every employee has access to that SWIFT mechanism.
So basically they send it in batches. So if you want to transfer 5,000 rupees, that's not going directly into SWIFT.
No.
That is going to the mother branch which has a SWIFT ID, like every international bank will have some branches which have SWIFT IDs. Then it goes to their bank and then they send it locally to the international bank.
And 5,000 rupees may not even go through the SWIFT process at all.
They have to do it in chunks.
If it's $50,000, maybe then immediately SWIFT will come into action.
So they do it in chunks. Now, so this SWIFT is where the defrauding part has happened in this operation. Can you explain to us what part of the SWIFT transactions were affected?
Very simply, what really happened was that, as you know, Rishabh, we know those LOUs were created. What it effectively meant was that when money had to be given to Nirav Modi's suppliers overseas, it was done by PNB issuing LOUs to Axis and Allahabad branches overseas, and they were...
Okay, so now let's look at what Nirav Modi needed. Now, this man, he wants to buy pearls. That was the premise.
Yes, that's correct.
I have these international
clients,
okay, and I need to buy pearls from them, and I don't have cash.
Yes.
Now the RBI allows
the 90-day window.
A 90-day window for you to seek a letter of credit or letter of understanding to buy these pearls. Now 90-day window means that from the point of time you conduct the transaction to the point of time you pay your local bank,
till the money comes back into the system. That's the 90-day window.
90-day letter of credit. Until then, he doesn't have to spend any money. So he needs the money to buy pearls. He doesn't have the money. So what does he do? Then he goes on to step 1, which is somebody within PNB is issuing this
the LC.
This letter of understanding, which is fake. Now, what is happening in this game? What does this do for us?
So, effectively, when line of credit was issued, which meant that this was the amount of money that can be loaned to Nirav Modi, letter of undertakings, those LOUs were in fact created. They were completely fake because that were not corroborated with that system. These LOUs are not just papers that can be signed by any employee.
Now, allegedly, he has a couple of bank insiders working in one particular bank branch which has SWIFT access. Right? Now, that bank, those insiders are preparing first this LOU. Okay. Then let's have a look what he's using the LOU for. So he takes the LOU. Step 2 would be to take the LOU from Punjab National Bank, which is now we know fake LOU, use this as a guarantee. And go to other international banks.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, how does this system work?
So, from here, it goes to the international branches of the other two banks that we mentioned, Axis and Allahabad, and they, in turn, give the money back, not to PNB, but PNB's branch.
I'm going to use a piece of paper. Let's say, okay, now here is, I have now created a fake LOU. Okay. Now you are an international bank, and I say, come, here's an LOU from PNB. This is worth X number of crore rupees. Now I've given you the LOU. Let's say the LOU is worth 100 rupees. And you say now you need to pay. Somebody has 95 rupees, so you make a margin. Is that the system? How it works?
Exactly, yes. Banks will make their margin. That is exactly how it happens. But 95 rupees, if it's going through this entire circle route.
Yes, and it's supposed to close at one end, which hasn't happened. Now, this is basically one big credit card. It's a large credit card, which you're utilizing as a letter of credit.
Actually, it's not even a credit card, because credit card gives you a window. For this, money has to be in the system.
It has to be in the system, but it isn't there because the LOU itself is fake. So the credit card itself is fake. Now, this LOU has been taken. You're the international bank. I've given you the LOU. Now let's see what the international banks do and how the system got defrauded. Let's have a look at step 3. Now in step 3, the LOU, which is a fraud.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the international banks are supposed to confirm this LOU with the parent bank PNB.
Which they did not. Which they did not.
Which was supposed to happen through, I understand, the SWIFT process also.
Yes.
And which either they did not, or they had access to the SWIFT passwords.
Or they were conniving with the...
And they were conniving. The people handling the SWIFT passwords were conniving. And this process gets also defrauded again. So the fraud number 2 takes place. So fraud number 1 is when they are creating a fake LOU. Fraud number 2, either by error or connivance, has happened when this confirmation process is supposed to happen that yes, this LOU is genuine. Yes. It hasn't taken place.
Yes.
Now, on the basis of the LOU the banks are holding, if you look at step 4, on the basis of the LOU, the local banks, which are the international banks, let's have a look at step 4, they are then extending cash.
Absolutely.
They are now giving cash. So now the international banks, they have an LOU in their possession, okay, which they have taken over, right? They've confirmed that this LOU is genuine or forgotten to confirm it. Something has happened there.
No, it has been established by the SWIFT process.
Yes, so it's been established by the SWIFT process. This is legitimate. Now, when somebody is again conniving there, and they've transferred the cash to the guy who was selling the pearls or wherever the money had to go.
Absolutely.
So the cash is now gone.
Cash is gone.
The international banks, on the basis of this fake LOU, have given the cash, so unke khate se paisa gaya.
Yes. Or some of it might be in some of these international banks, but no, there's no way of knowing it.
But the chunk of the money is gone. Now, in a normal process, if you look at step 5, the international banks would go back to PNB and say, here's the LOU.
That's correct.
Now you pay us back.
That's correct.
Now that can't happen.
That can't
because
happen.
PNB says...
They've raised their hand saying that, it's illegal, we did not know what's happening, so we won't be paying you back.
So PNB has raised 2 issues. That number 1, listen, it's a fraudulent this LOU. Second, they say that the RBI only allows a 90-day in 1 year.
Yes.
So the other bank should have checked also.
That's correct.
And now, of course, I'm presuming this will be settled in court.
Absolutely, because the other branches, the other banks will say, where's the money? They will be asking PNB.
Okay, so in the normal scheme of things, the international banks go back to PNB. PNB pays those international banks back on the basis of this LOU. And step 6 would have been for PNB then to go back to Nirav Modi and say, here's the LOU, now the system is finished, 90 days period of time.
You have to now pay up,
and now pay up, and this obviously is also not
going to happen
at this stage. So this is the entire process, Gauri, what's going on. Transaction scams happen. What do you see the most insidious in this scam?
I think what we are not talking about is the connivance of the officials of Axis Bank and Allahabad Bank in those overseas branches. Secondly, you and I both know when we receive our statements monthly or half-yearly or quarterly, they are added up. We are sent those statements, are we? Are we to believe that from 2011 onwards, till now, those statements were not tabulated any year, any month?
Okay, so can I get my producer to pull back the central banking system graphic again, and then we compare it. Now, explain to us, Gauri, when people are saying that the SWIFT banking process is different from the central banking process, and because the central banking process, no records were kept, therefore it took a long time
for people to figure
it out. What is this?
That is because SWIFT is a process that is typically used either for a large sum of money. It could be like $50,000 or $5 lakh that needs to be paid for importing diamonds or stuff like that. Or it could be for high net worth individuals, those HNI clients, those wealthy clients that every bank is wooing. So for those clients, you could have the SWIFT process, which has nothing to do with the CBS. CBS will not even keep track of the SWIFT transactions that are taking place. The entire management could be completely left in the dark when a SWIFT transaction takes place.
But eventually I presume they need to come back into the bank system.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And when does that happen?
So accounts are not tabulating, so somebody needs to be...
This is that one Mumbai branch, allegedly again. One Mumbai branch which is conducting these transactions, which I'm told was many times the net worth of that branch.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're conducting these huge transactions. Yes. But because they're in the SWIFT process, they're not having to report them. So the anomaly that how can a bank with a capitalization in its branch of only X hundreds of crores is doing transactions with thousands of crores.
Thousands of crores.
That has not come into this.
But then again, Rishabh, raising a question that, when you and I have transactions worth a couple of ₹100, bank raises a red flag.
Immediately.
Thousands of crores is being transacted.
And it's an automated system for us.
Yeah, and nobody is raising
so let's now look at the step-by-step once again, okay? And I'm going to ask Gauri to explain to us what could have been done or should have been done at every step to ensure. Now, in this point of view, first of all, Gauri, there's a 90-day window.
Yes.
Somehow a 1-year window was created and nobody caught on.
And year after year, that was being extended.
Okay, and we don't know who these mysterious pearl buyers were, whether he was actually buying pearls or just simply...
Or it could be another member of his family itself putting up a different front.
Or could it be that? So it could have been money laundering. It could have potentially been servicing debt abroad. We don't know.
Anything.
The money could have gone anywhere. Now, we presume it was, the pretext was pearl buying. We don't know. It's a matter of investigation, what it was for. Now, step one is the letter of understanding, the letter of agreement which has to take place. Now, at this point of time, we know this LOU is faked.
Yes.
What needed to be done to get a genuine LOU?
So, obviously, when this LOU was to be generated, yes, the 90-day window that we spoke about. Second is, the moment there is a transaction that is to take place, there has to be correspondence between the two branches. There is no correspondence that is taking place. See, LOU is like another version of an LC. Or another version of...
This would be a letter of credit, an overdraft which people would,
like
would be familiar with.
So it has a window, but it doesn't happen like, I am issuing an LOU to you, but you will never come back to check with me. It doesn't happen like that. So somebody had to double check this LOU, which wasn't done, which had to be some of the other banking officials in other branches.
So somebody in the branch has issued an LOU and nobody in the branch has questioned, where they can claim we didn't know that the LOU was created.
It's like bank guarantees.
But how is an LOU generally? Because there's a slight difference between a loan which you take, right? Which you say, okay, I'm putting
against the loan, you have a collateral.
I'm putting some collateral, shares or property or other immovable assets. In this case, how does it work? If you're not putting collateral,
what do you do? LOU is typically done after an LC has been established. A line of credit will be given to a certain individual by a bank as a regular process.
Okay, so we say, okay, you are worth a line of credit of 1,000 crores.
Yes.
Okay, so
and therefore 500 crores will be the
LOU for one particular set of transactions which you're doing, and you can take that 500 crores then do it. Okay, but so they haven't done
any of that
process. Okay. Now, when it comes to the step of this LOU, faked LOU used as a guarantee, what should have the international banks been doing?
Again, the international banks would have had some sort of correspondence with the PNB bank. No such correspondence took place.
This is Axis, this is Allahabad, and there's one more, right? There's
Bank of India also.
And they have all between 1,000 to 2,000 crores
all of the exposure that they have.
Exposure to this.
Yes.
Now, here's the process we were talking about, where there is a confirmation that has to happen between PNB and the international banks. Now they are operating, I'm presuming within banking parlance, Golly, you know this better, that there are thresholds, right? For various levels. If you apply for loan, if it's a certain amount, you have to give that much documentation, larger amount goes higher.
Absolutely.
And the amount of checks that are done increase. Now when we're talking about thousands of crores, nobody seems to have noticed.
Nobody seems to have noticed. No collateral, no information, no paperwork. Okay. On the SWIFT, it suddenly comes, people punch in some codes, and boom, it just starts.
And it's just literally a password, which is an approval authority password.
But somebody had approved, because none of this, in banking software, everything requires approval.
So somebody's punched in a password, either out of ignorance, that they haven't bothered to check, so they're incompetent,
or they're just conniving.
Or conniving. Now, why would banks... Why would banks? What's the temptation in it for banks, Gauri? Other than personal corruption, what's the temptation in it for banks to let these sort of doubtful transactions happen?
I think it's just simple bribery and corruption that's unfolding here, Rishabh. But time and again, we know banking transactions, however dubious they may be, they cannot take place without conniving banking officials. That is exactly what has happened here as well. PNB has, of course, 10 employees have been suspended. Remains to be seen.
No, I remember during demonetization, same thing happened with, there was a Kotak branch in Delhi that was laundering allegedly large sums, and few people...
And all these rural branches that were,
where thousands of accounts were magically opened overnight. These are banking guys sitting there.
Exactly, they were conniving.
Just opening up accounts and putting in. Okay. So, but there's another argument, of course, Gauri, that look, banking top bosses, they like to turn a blind eye because when you're dealing with such large figures, for them profit margins are high on those figures, because let's face it, they have to deploy their capital if they have to earn interest on it, and therefore pay our interest in our savings bank account. So they are also tempted into these people who offer them, we'll pay you back 20% or 24%. And of course the international banks are making a cut also. So they are making money also.
Yeah, so everybody has a margin in this. It may have probably, Rishabh, started as that, but I guess, because it just took a life of its own, I don't think any of these officials could have stopped this entire mechanism at any point of time, because it was an automated process. SWIFT codes are being punched in, which is why money is actually changing hands like that.
And crazy amounts of money. Okay, so now this has happened. There's something's gone wrong here. Have a look at step 4. Now, once again in step 4, this transfer of cash is done. So this is now physical money. There's no longer guarantees. There's no longer pieces of paper in lieu of. This is actually money that's going in terms of number figures in somebody's account, which is being done here. Now, if a person is watching out there, why can't they think that, listen, these banks, why can't they just figure out who they gave the money to and take it back?
But how can they hold this fellow responsible for that?
Okay.
How can he be held responsible? Or these entities may be responsible?
I delivered what I was supposed to deliver, so if the fraud is done...
And they could just put up those bills saying, you know, these are the bills against which I am supposed to get payment.
So my payment is legit, now you deal with Nirav Modi. If he's defrauded you, that's your problem. So
and also because there are banks that are being changed. So the bank that is finally making the payment may not be the one who should be held responsible.
And to be fair, the person who's received the funds, whichever entities have received the funds could have diverted them in, and they're now gone into the ether of the world economy, and now they're gone. Now in step 5, when the process happens of this return of funds from the PNB, what should have taken place, Gauri, other than what we know is actually happened?
Ideally, Nirav Modi's entities would have had to pay in that 90-day window. That money had to come, and PNB would have had some sort of either a guarantee, because LCs of course have been opened, but nevertheless some sort of collateral would have had to be given.
In case you can't pay, we can recover. Okay, so let's just, before we move on, let's give an understanding, Gauri, of who these people actually are.
Yes.
Because now this is an individual. Have a look at this. This is Nirav Modi. Now this is the immediate players here. Mehul Choksi was his uncle, who incidentally is also not in India right now.
Yes.
Vipul Ambani. Now he's the CFO of Firestar. Firestar Diamonds is his flag company.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Which is Birth, I think, has about 2.3 billion revenue per year.
Yes.
Now Purvi Mehta is his sister. She I think runs his design studios in London.
That's correct.
Where they design their diamonds.
He has 16 studios around the world.
And one person who's stuck in the middle of this is somebody who worked with Bulgari and Cartier, which is Angelina Impa, if I can pronounce her name correctly.
Yes.
She's of course an employee. She's the global president of Nirav Modi, I've begun to understand. Yes. She's just got some bad news. Her next paycheck looks a bit dodgy. Now, when it comes to Nirav Modi, now we were talking about he owns Firestar Diamonds.
Yes.
Take us through the others, Gauri, because he doesn't only own one company, he owns several companies. Then there's Mehul Choksi, who, I mean, some these diamond names are household names. I think we've all seen the ads.
Gitanjali, Gems, and you know, even Nakshatra, people say, is in the dock, and all these are in fact related to these family entities. So yes, who are these entities? Yes, you can see Gitanjali, Jili, Nakshatra, all of them are definitely in the dock, because people say that the back end, which is that, you know, you import uncut diamonds, you polish them in Surat and then you export them, that entire back end machinery may just be linked, which is why all these brands may be in the dock.
These are all
household names.
All household names.
They are all household names.
I think pretty many people watching back home at some point of time may have been customers, or at least would know somebody who's been customers. Now Vipul Ambani, now he's stuck in this. He's also incommunicado. He's the CFO of Firestar Diamonds. So what's his liability here?
And he would very well be knowing what the entire transaction is. My sense is, Rishabh, Nirav Modi may not have signed on all those banking documents. Vipul Ambani may have. So maybe the liability may end up being his.
He is a man in trouble. Then, of course, there are other people who are involved, and we point them out at the top. One, of course, being his sister. Now he has a brother.
Yeah.
And a sister. Also, they're working in the same companies. Now, does the family have liability in all of this?
I think it's going to boil down to who really signed those documents. And I think it is the CFO who's going to be in biggest trouble. But then the catch here is that these entities, whoever takes out the money, my sense is, a lot of people feel, is that they're also linked to Nirav Modi and associates.
I mean, this is family,
and
right?
The shareholding pattern will have them as well.
Sister. Okay, and of course now she's an employee. I don't know how much her liability will be.
But if she has some stock of the company, she can very well be part of the.
But very interesting. Now Nirav Modi is not in town. We know he's left. We know his wife is left. Now his wife is an American citizen.
He is a Belgian national.
And his brother is a Belgian national. There's no case for extradition here. It looks difficult, doesn't it?
It looks difficult, and remains to be seen how far can enforcement agencies actually make a case for them to come back.
We haven't got Malia back yet.
We haven't got Malia back as yet, and this looks even tougher.
Okay, so if you look at, before I toss back to Rishika, if you look at all the big scams, financial scams that happened, Satyam, Satyam, there was a conviction. Ramalinga Raju is out on bail now.
Yes.
Okay, Sahara, the case is on.
Yes.
Sarda, the case is on.
Sarda case is on.
Telgi is well dead now. So that was.
But he was serving his sentence.
He was serving a sentence. So, and Malia is gone. He's not here. Case is on, and I'm presuming this case now starts.
It remains to be seen how far in time it will actually take for Nirav Modi to.
It's fascinating. We try to put the picture together for you. Back to Rishika.
Well, thank you so much, Rishabh and Gauri. If you had any questions on how a scam like that happens, I sure had mine. I think that puts a lot of things in perspective. Also joining us on the broadcast is Rajeev Kapur. He is a market expert, and he will also help our viewers understand how this affects you. So if you're somebody who has a bank account or has fixed deposits or has money, invested in the Punjab National Bank, where really does this leave you? How does this affect, Mr. Kapur, bankers like you and me who have our hard-earned savings saved in banks like Punjab National Bank?
Yeah, it's going to affect drastically, because we lost the faith on public sector bank, government banks. See, till now the scams happen. This kind of a scams cannot happen so easily, because there are a lot of passwords, lot of authorities are given to them. But now the faith on the government bank will be defamed a lot.
Okay.
All investors will go for private banks.
Okay.
And they will see.
Do you think then that it's only the public sector undertakings like Punjab National Bank that stand affected? Do you think that investor confidence in private banks of encouraging people to save their money? Because one way we're talking about digital India, we're talking about a cashless economy, in which case the banking system, the backbone of a cashless economy, has to be very robust. And when a scam of this magnitude breaks, it does shake the very premise of where India is headed.
Yes, absolutely, because we are talking about digitization all over India, and if you talk about our cyber cell is very weak. If you today complain to a cyber cell, it will take months and months to evaluate or something. So it is very dangerous, and it's very risky for Indian economy for sure, because what has happened now, it's really very dangerous for the Indian economy.
Okay.
And all these losses has to bear by a common public,
right,
by a small enterprises, by the small companies or medium enterprises companies, because bank has to recover their losses at the last.
Yes.
From where bank is going to recover their losses? From our people, from Indians. They will increase the interest rate and they will increase the lending rate, and at the last all small enterprises and medium enterprises companies will suffer.
So it does directly or indirectly affect every taxpayer, whether or not you have an account with PNB, so whether or not it directly affects you, it does have an indirect impact across the economy.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's also very interesting to understand is that 11,400 crore rupees, and we've broken this down in several graphics for our viewers, is about 10%, is about 1/3, I beg your pardon, of the bank's net worth. The bank's net worth, Punjab National Bank, stands at 48,000 crores. We're talking about 1,400 crores, which is a 25% straight. What happens to Punjab National Bank now?
Surely their market share will reduce a lot, their capitalization will reduce a lot for sure. But
we've already seen a 10% fall in the in the share price.
Yes, but the 10% is nothing. It is going to fall more and more. But ultimately the CBI, the government authorities, has to check that how it has happened, why it has happened. Like they were telling that they cannot catch the receivers, but surely when they are issued the LOU, in LOU there is understanding that they have to send a pearl.
Okay.
And the supplier, which was shown on a black color, and we don't know him, he has to send a pearl with the certain documents, with the shipments and everything. If government is going to check whether the shipments has arrived, whether the right documents have been submitted or not, surely the material will be coming to India.
Okay.
But okay, I cannot comment on it because I do not know exactly what is LOU stands for.
It is a bit premature, and we did a short while ago try to stitch this entire controversy in perspective for our viewers about how how this actually unfolds and how it does in fact affect you, the viewer. But of course, like Mr. Kapur pointed out, it's something that does shake the faith of taxpayers who have in fact saved their lives earnings in banks like Punjab National Bank. Appreciate you, Mr. Kapur, for joining us on the broadcast.
Thank you.
I'm afraid that's all we have time for on this edition of News Up. Thank you for watching. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay tuned.
Good evening. You're watching Speak Out India with me, Gauri Dwivedi. Now, the biggest scam that has been unearthed in recent times in Indian banking history is the Punjab National Bank, which has detected fraudulent transactions of over 11,400 crore rupees. And this, of course, happened in its corporate branch in Mumbai. Now, how it really unraveled, of course, is since 2011, there were these fake LOUs, that paper trail that was really created in PNB, which ensured that money, in fact, was given in overseas branches of Allahabad Bank as well as Axis Bank. And that money, of course, changed hands and has been given to officially, ostensibly, to the suppliers of Nirav Modi. Now, where that money really is, nobody knows. CBI, ED have all now been part of the probe, so to say. They have been asked to probe the extent of the damage this has done to the Indian banking system. Let's quickly listen in to the political slugfest that is already beginning on Nirav Modi and the scam that he has undertaken of over 11,400 crore rupees. The Congress quick to ask the BJP how Nirav Modi managed to flee the country. The BJP, of course, responding by saying that this started in 2011. Listen in to those soundbites explaining the political slugfest that has already begun on India's biggest scam.
Responsible banking, and we will not shirk in our responsibility in putting all the customers or our staff to the task if we found any fraudulent or unethical practices are being performed in the bank.
अभी तक ईडी ने 9 प्रॉपर्टी जो नीरव मोदी से जुड़े हुए हैं इसको रेड किया है, जिसमें 3 सूरत में हैं, 4 मुंबई में हैं और 2 दिल्ली में हैं. Assets worth rupees 1,300 crores have been seized, and action has been taken to initiate revocation of passport.
हमारे ऊपर नहीं, जिनके कार्यकाल में हुआ उनका आरोप अभी आ रहा है, क्योंकि हम ढूंढ खोज करके निकाल रहे हैं कि भैया ये हो रही है, भैया ये हो रही है. ये 14 से हुआ नहीं है, उससे पहले से हुआ है. उसको चुपचाप दरकिनारे करते हुए या तो मुंह उस तरफ मोड़ करके यूपीए सरकार ने उनके अपने सरकार चलाई. अभी जो बाहर आ रहे ये सब उनका देन है, उसके ऊपर जरूर एक्शन होगा.
Why has the banking sector's auditing mechanism, the risk management systems and the fraud detection systems have failed? I think these are serious issues that Prime Minister needs to address and answer to people. We will wait for an answer from Prime Minister first.
All right, let's open this up. Our calling lines are open where India can speak out that how is it that we're going to be getting our billions of dollars back. Remember, these are public sector banks and the money that actually goes out is ours, that belongs to people of this country simply because they are funded by the exchequer. Now, we've got, let me in fact first begin. We've got political guests as well. We also have an economist to really tell us the impact this will have as far as the banking sector is concerned. But I want to open this up with Mohammad Khan of the Congress, as of course we wait for Shaina to also join in. Mohammad, the fact is that this is a scam that began in 2011. How do you now say that it is the Modi government that should be held responsible for the 11,500 crore rupees that has now been looted?
That's a fair question, and I'll answer it in the following fashion. This 11,000 crores that you speak of and that we know of, it has been accumulating over the span of the last 4 years. In fact, Gauri, this is not so much a story of who gave the loan, but under whose watch and oversight such an audacious act took place. We have evidence now that in 2016 July, somebody writes to the Prime Minister's office that complaint is acknowledged and forwarded to the ROC. The complaint is then closed. These are facts. It is a fact that LOUs continue to be issued under this government. This government speaks of financial oversight, greater controls. It talks about bringing in stronger legislation. And this all happens under our Prime Minister's watch, who once said, "Na khaunga, na khane dunga." This is the third example, Gauri, of someone fleeing the country after an investigation is opened. The third example after Lalit Modi, Vijay Mallya, and now this guy.
The BJP is saying that this is something that started under the UPA tenure.
You know something, Gauri? That is one of the most embarrassing things for them to say, because it implies they are the weakest government in Indian history. 4 साल से आपकी सरकार है. You have to exercise oversight. You cannot say this has caught you unawares. July 2016 you get the complaint. You are supposed to act no less than the Prime Minister gets the complaint, but you continue to issue LOUs. आप किस बात की सफाई दे रहे हैं? आप लोग, I would ask the BJP spokesperson this, you are embarrassed. You are caught. And this guy goes with our Prime Minister to Davos. Our spokesperson for the MEA tweets a picture saying this is a meeting of hand-picked individuals. He didn't say hand-picked, but that was the idea. These are people who've been hand-picked as captains of industry. And these are the people who share a stage with our Prime Minister. What message do you send out?
No, I think the BJP did respond to that, Mohammed, saying that he was not invited, so to say, by the government to be part of the official delegation. He joined in Davos, and he was not really invited by the PM, so to say.
Gauri,
I will come back to you, and I'll give you a chance to respond as well. I want to quickly take in the 2-3 callers, 3 of them who've been calling, because as I said, PNB is a bank that impacts every one of us. All of us could be having accounts in this bank. We have every reason to know what is really happening with our money, and of course the domino impact that this could have on the banking sector in general. Let's quickly get in Prakash calling us from Mumbai.
Madam, thank you very much for giving me a chance. Can I speak?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead. Make your point.
Yeah. See, now, after effect of this Congress and BJP will go on blame game, in each other endlessly at the loss of the taxpayers, and the money goes down the drain. I don't know what happens thereafter. Only my request.
No, I agree with you. That's a very valid point, that how and when are we really going to be getting our billions of dollars back? I agree with you. Let's quickly get in Babu Rao calling us from Bengaluru.
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, please give me a few minutes. I've been head of a multinational company. There are so many checks and balances even for small purchase orders in our system with SAP. Now, this is not the time for either the congressman or, for that matter, CPI or BJP to come here and do a mudslinging. 90% of the people deposit their banks, ordinary people like you and me, with a faith that it is safe and it gets distributed to 10% of the people. What we need to look at is, from 2010 or whichever year, what was the auditors doing? Where was
I agree. That's an extremely relevant point, that first of all, there is the internal audit of the bank, and then there is the RBI annual review, none of which seems to have spotted these glaring loopholes that existed as far as these fake LOUs are concerned. Quickly, Rajpal calling us from Mumbai. Please, briefly, sir, make your point. All right, okay, let me bring in now, let me bring in Dinesh Vashne as well, and also Rajeev Kapur into this discussion. Rajeev, to you first. As somebody who understands the market, as somebody who understands the banking system, how big an impact do you think this is going to have on the banking system at large? And do you really think, as some of the callers were saying, is it possible for any of this money to actually be recovered by the bank?
Yes, absolutely. We can try for it. First of all, if you talk about the banking systems, as per me, the banking systems are perfect in India. Surely, the scam has happened. But if you have to do any transactions, even bank give you all kind of rights, that if you have to clear the online transaction with the checks, there are 4 stages. Surely, in bank, there will be also multiple stages. So, this kind of a scam cannot be happen with the people involved in the bank, and that not only 1 or 2, but there will be many people who will be involved in the bank. So systems are perfect. Bank systems are not bad, but scams are happening. Second, I don't get your question.
No, whom do you hold responsible? By just saying that these 10 odd officials in the bank, and some of them may be junior employees, according to PNB statement, is it not very convenient to just put the entire blame on these few employees? The management should be held responsible. They should be sacked.
Yes, absolutely. The management has to be responsible. The employees are also responsible. It's not that the management is not responsible. Surely they are also responsible. There must be a top shot people too in the banking organization which must be involved in this. For sure for that. And if you're talking about the recovery of the money, surely the bank has to check who has taken the money. If the LOU has been issued, surely there must be some material which must be built, which must be shipped. And if they will track that, they will understand very well where is the material. And maybe by selling the material, they can recover the money too. But it is very crucial stage to tell right now, because I'm not aware of the complete transaction, what has happened.
I think the sense that I'm getting after covering several such scams in the past as well, whether it is the Malia scam, or in fact even some of the other Ponzi schemes that India has been witness to, it looks extremely unlikely. Even Malia for that matter, though there weren't enough collaterals, but nevertheless there were some collaterals. In this case, what is the collateral that PNB really has? Dinesh Varshney, there is now a political slugfest that has opened up on this front. Now, the left is very clear that this is something that has been under the watchful eye of Modi, because, you know, the government has been in power since 2014. But let me come back to the point that I asked Mohammed as well. The fact is that when it started in 2011, the fake LOUs should have been brought to the government's notice or the finance ministry's notice there and then itself.
Look, we have always against the NPA and this fake LOU. Even our union, the All India Bank Employees Association and All India Bank Officers Association, which are the biggest unions of the Asia of the banking employees and officers, have written many letters on this thing. You see, these type of fraud can only happen when there is a patronage from the top boss of the political governance. And even if it has started in 2011, then question arises, how could he run away now?
Okay, now let me ask you another question. You're saying that these bank employees unions, they are the biggest and that have been affiliated. The question I want to ask is that if the bank takes this hit of 11,000 crore rupees, shaves off a third of its market cap, it will have a huge impact on the employees as well. So every one of us, including you and me, should be asking this question as to when is this money really now going to be recovered?
No, it is not only bank employees, it is a people's money. There will be a penalty on the general public. Yes, it is the people's money, yes. General public, man. Yes. And if somebody says that he was not invited to Davos, will you allow me to meet the Prime Minister directly? Without the permission of the Prime PMO? What are you talking? Are you talking childish? Are you a political leader, Ravi Shankar Prasad ji, or something else? How can you say this thing? So government can't absolve itself from the responsibility of this fraud and sending him out of the country, and he is related to one of the monopoly houses who is the biggest funder of the BJP. Therefore, he is shielding him. And therefore, if the government is sincere enough, if they say that it has happened, let the government tomorrow attach all the properties related to those groups, including Nirav Modi. Who stopped them to attach the properties, sending a notice of 24-hour warrant? And then
I think some properties have been attached. 1,300 crore rupees worth of properties have, and in fact recoveries are already on. Raids have happened in locations, 16 locations across India. These raids
are going on, all these in October also. Why they were not alerted at that time? The letter was written to them for inquiry and lookout notice by the PNB official sometime in July 2016. Why the PMO has not acted?
Let me now bring in China NC. If we can have China NC, I think with us on the phone line, there seems to be an issue with her output right now. Do we have China? China, is my voice reaching you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, respond to what some of the panelists here are saying. Both the Congress and the left have said that this is not the first time that the issue was flagged off. This happened in 2016, and since then no inquiry took place. This was in fact brushed under the carpet, and then it was followed up by that meeting that took place between Nirav Modi and Prime Minister Modi at Davos today, where they met. The photo op.
Absolute nonsense. Please do understand that if at all, in 2011, when he got his loans without any kind of security, it shows you the kind of political insulation and political protection he had of the then Congress government. Loan after loan, he was funded to the tune of 11,000 crores. I want to ask the Congress party that constantly just, points fingers at us. If it wasn't for the BJP-led Prime Minister Modi's political will, would this scam have been unearthed?
No, Shaina, I'm going to ask you a counter question. Before the Congress, I have a counter question for you. You are saying that from 2011 onwards, that these fake LOUs were created. It was under Congress's tenure. But surely, enough and more fake LOUs were created from 2014 onwards.
Exactly.
Firstly,
and Shaina ji, NP have increased in your tenure. NP has increased manifold in your tenure. That itself shows your intention.
Let's give her a chance to respond.
Whether it's solvency laws or whether it's bankruptcy or NPAs being brought to task. For the first time in the history of India, it has happened under Prime Minister Modi's regime. Do understand, for banking officials who have been corrupt in collusion with businessmen who have been seeking political insulation, and I heard one of your panelists give the most preposterous argument. He must understand that Nirav Modi has been in collusion with Congress leaders for the longest time, from the properties he rents to the insulation at all his programs, etc. So what are we talking about here?
No.
Wait. Can I say something?
The entire scam.
Okay, I have enough questions, but I'm going to give Mohammed a chance to respond. Go ahead,
Shaina ji, assuming not admitting what you're saying is true. Let's assume what you're saying is true. Then what stopped you from taking action against the Congress or these people when the evidence was under your nose? अरे बेचारा complainant PMO पहुंच गया चिट्ठी देने, उसके बाद आप लोगों के हाथ क्यों बंधे रह गए? दूसरी बात, how did he know that he was going to be investigated? He and his family fled, all four of them. This is part of a deliberate and concerted plan, and it points to a leakage of information under your regime. और तीसरी और आखिरी बात, अरे जी जिनके खिलाफ आज आप बोल रही हैं, वो प्रधानमंत्री जी के खास मेहमान थे डावोस में.
Okay, let's get Shaina to respond to that, Mohammed. Let's get Shaina to respond.
He cannot have a group photo chance with the Prime Minister in Davos.
You can abandon your friends, Shaina ji, but it doesn't exonerate you from your job.
The Congress spread these conspiracy theories all day today. There is no question of anyone taking anyone to Davos. And for those who are only trying to spread these conspiracy theories, they must look in their own backyard as to
but it's
which
not a conspiracy theory.
But you know, Shaina, I'm sorry, I have to be the devil's advocate here. I'm sorry, Shaina, I'll have to be the devil's advocate here. This is not conspiracy theory. This is a sheer fact. I give you all credit for the insolvency and bankruptcy code. I give you all credit for solving the NPA mess. But you have to tell us as to why, if this was continuing after 2014, did you not act earlier?
If it is insolvency or bankruptcy or cracking down hard on the NPAs, it has happened for the first time in the history of India under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. He doesn't care who the person is. A wrong, cheater, fraudster, corrupt person needs to be brought to task, and let me please
care about doing his job. His attention is occupied with the next election and how to divide people on religious lines. He has no intention with setting the economy straight. You talk about the bankruptcy code.
Okay, Mohammed, let's see if Shaina can convince us. Okay, Shaina, go ahead.
Whether it is insolvency, bankruptcy or NPAs, tell me, when did Congress ever crack down on NPAs?
No, it's not about the Congress crackdown, Shaina, it's about the BJP crackdown. You will be celebrating 4 years of being in power in 2 months. You have to say, why did you not crack down on Nirav Modi earlier? It's not the BJP which unraveled this entire case. It was the PNB officials.
No, are you the Prime Minister or Congress the Prime Minister? Even the Finance Minister was given complaint by the bank unions. Even the Finance Minister was given complaint by the bank unions.
Multiple complaints.
Shaina, respond to what Dinesh Vashne is saying, that Finance Minister received a complaint and no action was taken.
Many of the letters have been written by the bank
criminal complaints over the last 2
about
years.
this NPA and fraud.
Let's get Shaina to respond.
That is factually untrue. The fact is that he got loan after loan on assurance from corrupt officials.
Madam, he continued getting loan after loan on your watch over the last 4 years.
All right, they were corrupt officials. You came to know in July 2016. This is February 2018.
I will just
all right, we agree. Around 17 months is over. Today is the exact 17 months from 16
let's give her a chance to respond, Dinesh. Let's give her a chance to respond.
Please do understand that the Enforcement Directorate has not only attached properties, whether it is diamond experts who are presently at his so-called properties which are owned by Congress leaders. All of that is not what we want to get into. As far as we are concerned...
No, madam, I urge you, get into it. Get into it.
Have manipulated
Embarrass yourself in your party line further.
There needs to be banking norms that need to be made absolute solid proof in this country.
Okay, Shaina, now I'm going to ask you another question. Okay, You've been responding to what the Congress and the left have been saying, the questions that they've been raising. Now I will ask you 2 questions. Let's take this dialogue forward, because you know this blame game is obviously not making the billions of Indians who've invested or who have their hard-earned money in PNB, it's not making them any wiser because they still don't know what is really happening with the money or the deposits that they have in PNB, and also more importantly, what is the loss that the Exchequer has as far as the exposure to PNB and the loss is concerned. Now the question I have for you is, what will be the corrective measure that you think the government is going to take on this? Because this has eroded the confidence that every Indian has in the banking system. If it can happen in PNB, then what stops it from some other public sector bank to also be having a scam of this magnitude?
But that is exactly what we have been talking about. Why do you think we've got this Insolvency Act, bankruptcy, whether it's NPAs, whether it's banks that have been giving loans with certain kind of political insulation, as we saw in the case of Malia or we saw in the case of Mr. Modi? I think it's imperative for us to understand that this happened in 2011 during the then regime.
No, it did not happen in 2011. I'm sorry, Shaina, I'll have to correct you there. It did not happen in 2011. It's been happening since 2011. There is a huge difference there. And the last 4 years, it's your government that has been in power.
It started with one cover-up after the other. And do understand, if we didn't have the political
will.
No, madam.
Okay, even if there was cover-up,
you can take after 80% of your term is over.
2014, how you can't absolve yourself from that.
No, I'm going to give quick closing comments because, as I said, this blame game is going on, and I don't think any of my fundamental questions, as somebody who has a bank account in PNB, those fundamental questions remain completely unanswered. Mohammed, I'll give you a chance to come, tell us the quick closing comments on this entire issue. Do you think this money is possible to be recovered, or now we're just living in a la-la land expecting that any of these billions of dollars are coming back?
So, Gauri, two quick statements. Punjab National Bank issued a statement earlier today that they have, you corrected and said 1,300 crores worth of its assets. One of the channels reported it as 13,000 crores. And that made sense because that's why the RBI was, the Punjab National Bank was saying that, nahi, hamare paas itne assets hain ki hum uske khilaf paisa vasool lenge. But you will also be interested to learn, Gauri, that Punjab National Bank is the second highest bank with the bank with the second highest number of NPAs after SBI.
That's correct.
Now, this brings us to a question. There is mismanagement, there is loot, there is organized plunder.
There's bribery, there's corruption of
and it's all happening under our Prime Minister's watch, जिन्होंने कहा था मुझे इन लोगों को 60 साल दिए, मुझे 60 महीने देना, ना खाऊंगा ना खाने दूंगा.
Okay.
We have an empty gust of wind and empty boasts. I'm sorry, madam, you people have failed in your job. I can't wait for you guys to go out of power.
Dinesh Vaste, respond.
Look, the biggest question is, when in July 2016, the PMO came to know, PNB official requested for a lookout notice against Nirav Modi. Why the lookout notice was not immediately issued? That itself shows the malafide of the government against him.
All right, okay, I want to now take quick closing comments from Shaina. Shaina, it's not just the political representatives of the Congress or the left or the netas on the panel. I myself, or many of people like me, our viewers, are worried, are concerned, and they are asking as to why was this not brought to everybody's notice earlier? Why was this action not taken earlier?
Firstly, this fraud, the total amount was 11,400 crores for all of those who are speculating on numbers. And what was this entire scam? I think it's important for all of us to understand that this is not just about one Nirav Modi. This is about people who took political patronage and insulation by the then government, where they colluded with banks and they got all kinds of loans with no security whatsoever. So I think that we must have faith in our judiciary and our systems. I'm sure our government will ensure that he is extradited and every rupee and more is brought back, as has happened with a lot of NPAs, a lot of cases where we have been successful. So I don't want to sit in, some sermonizing mode to say that, oh, we are going to be able to have a crackdown overnight, but the Enforcement Directorate has attached his properties, all right, as well as all his jewelry. And I think that the way he blatantly looted, punishment will be befitting.
Okay, punishment will be befitting. Remains to be seen how soon will any of that money actually come. I'm sorry, Shaina, you didn't answer any of the fundamental questions that a lot of us really had as far as the scam is concerned. 30 seconds to Rajeev Kapur as we wrap up the show. Rajeev, The ramifications of this scam are huge. This is the biggest scam, biggest loot that has happened as far as our banking sector is concerned. This would really have long-term implications.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think so the investors, whole India will suffer due to this, because it's our money, the hard-earned money which has gone away, and it is not going to come back. Because which money has gone back away from India will never come back for sure. But everybody is saying that is a fault of Modi government. But see, NPS
all
are
right,
happening now.
I'm sorry, Rajeev. Running out of time. I want to thank all our panelists, Mohammed, Dinesh, Shaina, and Rajeev, to be a part of this show. Unfortunately, nobody really knows as to whether any of this money is actually going to come back. Of the other scams that have happened in the past, you would know the answer yourself. The larger question is that back of the envelope calculations suggest that it would take twice the size of LIC Housing Finance to actually cover up for this huge hole in PNB's books. Who's responsible? Who will bring Nirav Modi to book? Who will ensure that Nirav Modi is held accountable for this loot? Answer is something that every Indian really needs to know. Thanks so much for watching this edition of Speak Out India.